Good morning. Good morning.
Name always sounds weird when you say it out loud.
Gluten morning.
Guten Tag. It's
Hope
nice.
everyone's having a great day.
Yep.
Thank you for coming out to Initia Community Call number 3 with special guest lecturer Shamir from Blackwing.
Pleasure to be here. I'm excited,
Sure.
excited to experience the initiate community.
The Initia militia is in full force. Let's go.
Initia
All right.
Militia, I really like that because it matches with like the Blackwing Jet theme.
We might have to do a vote though. Initia militia
Mm.
or Initia incels. I'm quite fond of them both.
I don't see why we can't be both, you know?
True. Yes, the militia is enlisting to become Blackwing pilots. Do you folks have a good name for your community yet, or are we going with pilots?
You know, we're still thinking through it. There's a couple of options. You got Blackwing Bros. We could do Blackwing Baddies.
Hell yeah.
Still thinking about it. We'll have updates on that front soon.
Okay, militia, if you guys have any suggestions on Blackwing baddies or Blackwing bros, definitely spam Shamir in the general chat.
Oh, please, yeah. I need all the help. And then maybe what we could do is do like a little poll, and then you could like gamify it too. That would be kind of interesting. The winning
Vote with
actually,
your Blackwing XP.
yeah, there you go. And then the winning group gets extra XP.
Hell yeah. Okay, Mista, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and we will get right into it. So this will be like 3 parts. Part of it will be, or I guess 2 parts really. One part will just be primarily initial questions, and then we have a bunch of Blackwing specific questions as well. So gonna kick
Should
it
we
off.
start off with maybe just a quick intro on Init as well as a quick intro on Blackwing?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so hello everyone. I mean, you're all Initia loyalists, so thank you all for coming again. But in general, Initia is a network for interwoven rollups. What we're trying to do is holistically rebuild how multi-chain networks should look and operate and feel, both from a user's perspective as well as a developer's perspective. One of the main reasons we built this is, or how it works in general is on Initia, we have an Initia layer 1. This is a move-based Cosmos SDK chain that really acts as an orchestration layer for all of the layer 2s on Initia. And each Initia layer 2 is a full-fledged Cosmos SDK based chain where they can essentially pull out consensus and plug in our optimistic rollup framework called the OP init stack. And then you have a full-fledged Cosmos SDK chain, but we've also integrated EVM, MoveVM, and WASM-VM on top. So pick whatever smart contracting environment works best for you and your application, change everything about your rollup on the Cosmos SDK side, and then through the layer 1, you have access to almost everything that you would find on a monolithic chain, but you're still a sovereign rollup that has the ability to own all the value you create. So through the layer 1, we provide fungibility across every one of these rollups. That means if you send USDC from one rollup to USDC on another rollup, it's the same USDC. You're never going to see 2 types of USDC on the same chain. There is interoperability between these rollups despite being in different VMs. That means you can do cross-chain contract calls from your Move layer 2 to an EVM layer 2 or a Cosmosm layer 2. And then there is native USDC and CCTP access accessible for all these layer 2s, as well as things like enshrined oracles that are atomically fetchable. And then we've rebuilt the entire product stack around this. So what does it actually look like to use these different layer 2s, move around them, interact with this platform? And we're incredibly excited to showcase this to all of you during public testnet, also known as the initiation, which is coming very soon. Amir, do you want to do a quick intro on Blackwing?
Yeah, for sure. So Blackwing is our whole philosophy is that we want to be the best place for people to come trade any asset with leverage in a way that's safe. Before kind of doing what we're doing now, we had like a perps product, and we were offering like ridiculous amounts of leverage for people. And what we observed is that everybody eventually would like churn out because they would lose their account balance because a lot of leverage turns out to be it's pretty fun, but it's also very dangerous. So there's this construct that we came across called limitless pools, which actually enables leverage and a decent amount of leverage, like up to 30x usually, um, in a way that's like completely liquidation free. So just as a value proposition for users, I think it just makes a lot of sense, especially in such a volatile market. You can actually take on leverage positions and do it in a way where you're not taking a huge amount of risk. On top of that, limitless pools also enable leverage trading for long tail of assets in a way that's like very difficult on other platforms. On other platforms, you need to go and find other traders to take the opposite side. So if you're winning, that means someone else is directly losing. Overall, that's like very zero sum, and in my opinion, is like a little bit toxic for the crypto community as a whole. If you're trading on Blackwing and you're winning, it probably means everyone else is also winning. So it's like a very positive sum thing, and I think overall better for the ecosystem. So that's ultimately what Blackwing is going to mean for users. Um, Now, how that relates to Initia is, I think our mission about being able to trade any asset anywhere really fits in with the value proposition that Initia is trying to offer. To enable what we want to do, we essentially had to build our own blockchain, and to build our own blockchain, there's like a lot of pieces and infrastructure that we would need to go and build out. But by using Initia as kind of the base layer, a lot of that stuff we kind of get for free. And what that means for users is that we can actually ship a product faster, and we can focus on the actual user experience rather than dealing with like, okay, I need to go and integrate with Noble, or I need to go and like integrate with Cosmos Hub and figure all that out. So overall, very excited to work with Initia. In like maybe just 2 calls with Zon and Stan, we were like, okay, this is the best place to build. So yeah, excited to launch as part of the initiation. We're going to be live on day 0. So just looking forward to that.
Oh yeah. So you're telling me I can go leverage long on any asset on any chain? Does that mean I could 10x long whiff right now if I wanted to on Blackwing?
If you wanted to, you could 10x long whiff. You could 10x long Joe Biden. Any of these coins that are coming up, they'll be available first on Blackwing. At least that's our mission.
So 10x
Oh, yeah.
long in it.
Yeah, dude. In it, we'll let you do much more leverage, and it'll be liquidation free, so you can do it safely.
That's crazy. That sounds so fake, but it's real. So that's insane.
We can
I
we
swear,
can get
guys,
into the
it's
math
not
if you guys
fake.
want.
Pull out the whiteboard. Okay, Mista, shall we hop into some of the cues?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so a lot of people specifically have been asking about running nodes versus validators, and I'd like to just clear this up for a lot of people. So the question is, I want to run a node. How will you select node runners? What are your criterias? For Zan or Stone?
Yeah. So currently, once we get onto public testnet, which you should expect sometime maybe at the end of this month or like early April, tentatively, anybody will be able to run any type of infrastructure that they like. We'll have all the docs public. You'll be able to do it, I guess, like permissionlessly. Yeah. So like definitely stay, I guess, like stay tuned in for when we do announce like our public testnet.
Yeah, specifically, we'll have a program that allows anyone to run up in it infrastructure, like Stanford mentioned, and based on things like uptime as well as some community contributions, those will play pivotal factors in to the mechanisms that we're designing. So if you are a good node runner and you can help contribute to the Initia ecosystem, we definitely want you.
Alrighty. Moving on. Thank you for the answers. So yeah, the community wants to know if there will be any other dApps that will be live on testnet that they can use that can be announced currently.
Yeah, so we plan to actually have around 5 to 6 applications probably launch with us on day 1 or day 0 of both public testnet as well as mainnet. You guys will be able to try out a lot of these applications on testnet before get deploying on mainnet. Currently, we have announced with Blackwing, so they'll be one of the major ones that are working with us. So definitely you should try it out. They're technically already live right now and accepting deposits. But yeah, we can't leak too much specifically what we will be launching in the future. But definitely stay tuned. I guess stay tuned to our Twitter as well as Discord. We'll be announcing more over the next upcoming few weeks.
They're all pretty kick-ass. We've been working with a decent amount of these teams over the past few months on closed testnet to help get their layer 2s up and ready. A lot of them are novel and new. We have no projects that are exist in other ecosystems, and that means new tokens to play with.
I can maybe give a little bit of alpha about what Blackwing testnet will look like, if right now is a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Basically, so we have deposits available, so you can go and deposit and start earning BWP. When we launch on testnet, the BWP that you have can actually be deposited into testnet as your testnet balance. And then you can go and trade with that balance. And then any earnings that you earn can be withdrawn back out. Sorry, not BWP, BXP. Mix up the acronym. So Blackwing XP can be deposited into testnet and then withdrawn. Let's say you make a 10x gain, you can actually withdraw that gain as BXP out. So it's a way for you to actually earn more BXP that's actually much more tied to your testnet activity. So that's something that we're definitely going to do when we launch.
As well as getting early access to some of that Initia XP if you guys try out Blackwing as well. So definitely, I would suggest giving it a try.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Moving on. So Zon, last AMA, you kind of leaked that we were in talks with Eigenlayer, and one of the folks asked if the partnership with Eigenlayer is still happening, if there's any update, and things like that.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we're still chatting with them. We both really want to work with each other, and we're down to make something work. I think we're just still thinking through how the mechanism should work, since we need to figure out the restaking surfaces that make sense on Initia itself. There's obviously simple things like EigenDA, but at the moment we think it's much more beneficial to just use one DA layer, and that's why we just use Celestia for DA. It allows state to just be shared, and it makes it a lot easier when it comes to doing fraud-proof challenges, since we can easily look up a layer 2's data using the namespace Merkle trees that Celestia has. When it comes to restaking services, Eigenlayer is by far the most awesome. I think that the work that they're doing there is incredible, and they have billions of deposits. So finding some way to tap into that liquidity would be extremely beneficial for Initia. We just need to spend a bit more time looking into the restaking surfaces.
Alrighty. So yeah, Stan already mentioned that testnet will be going live at the end of March to early mid-April. So we have another question from our community, which is that are there any specific challenges or obstacles the Initia team is currently addressing? And how can the community contribute to overcoming these challenges? So that could maybe be like stress testing the network whenever testnet comes online, or if there's any problems in particular that right now that we're dealing with internally.
Yeah, so I guess Yeah, so I guess to like basically give an idea of like kind of the scale of what we're trying to achieve. In some sense, we're trying to rebuild like a lot of the Cosmos ecosystem in a way that we believe it should have originally been built. And so we've built everything from basically the bottom up. So that includes like the chain infrastructure, a lot of the actual pieces with regards to like the user experience. So like whether it's like the block explorer, whether it's the wallet itself, whether it's like some of these L2 systems itself. So a lot of this will require testing, including a lot of users testing. So I think like some things that like the community can help out with while as we launch into public testnet is to try out like all the existing products that we'll have ready, including like Blackwing, as well as like try out a lot of like the infrastructure that we've built out, right? So we'll have like a native wallet, we'll have like the block explorer. Yeah, just like try everything out, try to break things. I think the most useful is like definitely try to break something and then reporting it to us. Like that's always helpful. Yeah, maybe Zon has some other things as well.
In the meantime, I think where the Initia militia can come in handy is just spreading the awareness that testnet is coming very soon. And if anyone would like to write some articles or tweet threads, definitely do share them in community contributions channel. We look through that pretty regularly. And since there's so many different moving parts on Initia, having just more people write about it and describe what we're trying to build and their own point of view is extremely valuable.
Yeah, I agree. Just any kind of content or memes that you make, you can throw in the memes channel or the community content channel. And like Don said, we check that out regularly and we will update your Discord profile accordingly. So yeah, we appreciate that as always. So the next question is if it's possible to leak any alpha on the init token utility, distribution plan, and how these tie into the Initia roadmap. If there's any alpha at all, we can leak there.
There's probably a little bit of alpha that we can share. I mean, there's a few things that we're trying to do with init. If you look at Initia as like a better version of Cosmos itself, using a lot of the modular ecosystem to tie everything together and build like a more powerful framework. In a sense, the Initia layer 1 is similar to the Cosmos hub, but in Cosmos land, obviously Atom has no real use case. And it's one of the reasons why that token is cursed. And so we have built a few interesting things for the init token to ensure that there's value flowing back to the layer 1 and the stakers and the users of init itself. So aside from every one of these layer 2s obviously contributing to the Initia ecosystem as a whole, there's a few things that we've done specifically with the token. The first is enshrine liquidity. So we put some information out on enshrine liquidity a couple of weeks ago, but essentially what this mechanism is instead of just staking init tokens directly with validators, we've decided to stake productive assets. And so we've built a DEX directly into the chain. It's called Initia DEX. It lives on the layer 1. And then we've built this system called Enshrine Liquidity. And so what that allows us to do is stake init X token directly with validators. So whether that be something like init ETH, init Tia, init Blackwing, whatever else you might want, init USDC. This helps build a hub of liquidity that is accessible for every layer 2 to easily fetch tokens, but it also acts as an inter-Initia router. So as you're moving from USDC on one layer 2 to ETH on another layer 2, those tokens can be swapped in the same flow that they're being sent across these rollups. And what that lets us do is there's a lot of the value flow and token flow between rollups that get spun up through the Initia layer 1. And that means these stakers on the layer 1 are capturing this value, whether that be through things like swap fees, as well as just block space on the layer 1. And for stakers, you have the ability to have upside from multiple different tokens in your stake. You get additional fees from swap fees, as well as things like LST yield. And then you're obviously getting staking rewards on top of that. So it's quite the win-win. And then we've built a system called Initia VIP, which we mentioned briefly within our fundraise announcement. But essentially, this is an entirely new economic model that we've built around this Initia framework to give rewards and value back to layer twos that are building on the Initia platform. And that means for projects like Blackwing, as well as some of the others, users will be rewarded in init tokens just for using their applications on the layer twos themselves. And this will help integrate the init token directly within each of these applications and create tons of new use cases for init rather than it just being used as a staking token.
Alrighty.
So Initia VIP has a lot more to it, but we can't leak all the details yet. But we'll put out a pretty thorough thread in the coming weeks on how this system works.
Expect more info soon. Thank you for the answers on. So yeah, moving on. The next question is, what information can we provide about the Initia team? Any new members, and how has the team changed since the previous community call?
Yeah, so I guess like in general, the team roughly consists of around 25 people. Majority of them being developers. I think like maybe 20 of those 25 people are working on the product team itself. So we're always working around the clock to make sure that we can basically get this out on time. We have, I don't remember when the last community call was, but we have like a few people that have joined. We have recently hired somebody in like DevOps/DevRels, and then we've worked with like 2 other people in like the community side of things. So I think like a lot of the stuff that's being a lot more active recently with regards to like Twitter, etc. Really basically due to like some of the new hires actually. But yeah, like our team comes from like pretty, I think, diverse background. Some of us have like experience in like quant finance/trading. Some of us have like experience working at a lot of these large game studios based in different places around the world. Some of us come from like FANG backgrounds, etc. Yeah, in general, pretty like diverse backgrounds with regards to the team itself.
Shamir, do you want to give a background on the Blackwing team?
For sure, yeah. So we're a small but mighty team, 5 people, but everyone is kind of stacked. So myself, I was at Robinhood, which is a US-based stock exchange, if you guys have heard about that. I don't know what the distribution is in terms of geography of the people here. But I was there for 5 years, primarily worked on trading infrastructure there, and really just like developing a passion for building really great products that people like to use. My co-founder, Zoe, he was 6 years at Facebook. Now Meta, he led growth there for various different teams. He's actually led the team that built Facebook Stories, which became Instagram Stories. We have Senor Papacito, who used to work at Rainbow Wallet, and then before that was also at LinkedIn. So the team caliber is like super strong, and we're really passionate just about building high quality products. Like everything that we worked on in the past has been super well made and generally loved by the people that use it. So excited to bring that passion to Blackwing and to Initia.
Damn, y'all are stacked for real. Let's go.
Small but mighty, for sure.
It's a real militia, you know.
Absolutely. All right, so the next question is around mainnet for Initia, and it is, what is the time frame for mainnet launch?
Yeah, so
Go for it.
Yes, tentatively it should happen maybe 1 to 2 months after public testnet. So if you were to calculate that, it would be roughly, I guess, like May or June. But yeah, this is just a tentative schedule, so definitely just stay tuned, I guess, to the announcements as well.
All right, cool. Okay, so the next question is about like Infinite or Initia's confidence to compete as a provider for infrastructure compared to other projects.
Yeah, so I can't, I don't want to particularly trash or talk down upon any infrastructure. But I think that Initia itself is a holistically rebuilt version of how multi-chain networks should look and operate. And we've spent over about a year and a half on this, building this out. And I think it is phenomenal and by far the best tech stack to build unique rollups that are fully interwoven. And so a lot of the problems with existing stacks is either in Cosmos land, you can build unique blockchains, but it's difficult to tap into the rest of the world and bootstrap that layer one. And in rollup land in general, you can build blockchains easily, but they're not flexible and you're basically fragmented. So Initia helps solve both of these problems very well. And so you can build the most unique blockchains. You can ensure that you're going to get rewarded and give extra rewards to your users through things like VIP. And then you're entirely interwoven to the rest of the world. So right when you spin up your initial layer two, you have access to essentially every blockchain imaginable, whether that be through IBC or large omni-chain bridge provider that I can't reveal. But you can onboard from any ecosystem directly into your rollup. You can use any wallet to connect to your rollup, whether that be MetaMask, Rabby, Kepler, Leap, in-app wallets, the Initia wallet. We've spent a lot of time making sure that we break down the barriers to entry, and that combined with things like enshrine liquidity and everything the orchestration layer on the layer one does, I think is fundamentally better than every other rollup stack that exists right now.
Yeah, like for the Blackwing team, when we were looking at different options, Initia just stood out to be the best one, just because they were really thinking about what the end experience is like going to be for users and then also for developers. So from day zero, we get access to USDC through Noble, and then we also get access to the large omni-chain bridge provider that we can't reveal. And it just makes our lives so much easier as developers. And the wallet infrastructure that Zon was just kind of talking about, we were going to build that out ourselves, but we also kind of get that because the Initia team has already thought about it. So overall, like relative to other kind of layer 2/layer 1 chain solutions, like Initia is by far the best.
So large omni-chain bridge provider that I cannot reveal. Okay, understood. Yeah, moving on. So the next question is, can the community build the first Initia meme chain, which only belongs to the meme coin? And I guess I can answer this actually. The answer is yes. Anyone will be able to spin up a Initia and base it around whatever they like. And the interesting thing about it is that you can even have the meme coin that you make be used for gas as well. So I'm not sure if Stan or Zon want to give a better answer, but
Yeah, I mean, I assume like the crypto community in general likes making meme coins, especially dog meme coins, right? Of like the devs and whatever. I guess
Wait, Stan,
like,
you have a dog, right? What's
oh,
its
do
name?
I don't know. This is a secret. But maybe you guys can make a dog coin and then, find out the names of some of the dogs of our other devs as well and make a chain if you're interested as well.
It's great that the dog coin has actual utility because I only invest in memes with utility.
Oh, true.
This is going to be used as a native gas token.
Yes.
So one of the features that we have on Initia is something called just-in-time gas. This is something that we've thought about from the product UX. Essentially, often what I experienced in Cosmos land was I'm sending USDC to a new chain, but unfortunately that chain uses their own token for gas. And so then I have my asset stuck and I need to go buy the gas fee on Osmosis. So then I send some dollars to Osmosis, but then I don't have Osmo tokens to pay for gas on Osmosis to buy the gas token for the other chain. And so I just get stuck. And I've lost some dollars into the void from that. And so just-in-time gas and these initial layer 2s really help solve this problem. So on initial layer 2s, you can use any or many tokens for gas. So you can use USDC, init, WIF, Blackwing, whatever. You can have multiple of them. And then just-in-time gas, what it does is if you have tokens anywhere else in the Omnitia ecosystem, that means any other rollup or the initial layer 1, and you're trying to make a transaction on the chain and you don't have the gas fees, those tokens can be swapped on the layer 1 through the Initia DEX and then sent to the layer 2 that you're trying to make the transaction in the same flow. So you'll never be in a use case where you can't make trades or make transactions on a chain.
So you'll never get stuck. Your funds will never be in the void. You'll always be okay using Initia. Got it. Okay, so yeah, moving on. We're going to ask a few Blackwing questions. So Shamir, I hope you're ready. So you like in the intro to this AMA, you talked about some of the benefits of building on top of Initia, but for some of our late entrants, could you maybe give a brief summary of why you chose to build on Initia and some of the benefits that come with that?
Yeah. Overall, it just makes it so much easier to launch your own blockchain, which was kind of a necessity for us because we wanted to do a bunch of like cross-chain communication. And it's kind of nice to be able to write our own modules / modify our validator nodes in a way that helps facilitate that. But yeah, building on Initia, I think short TLDR is you get kind of access to a bunch of infrastructure that you otherwise wouldn't or would have to go and build out yourself, which is very time consuming. So, for example, getting native USDC on the chain, it seems like a pretty basic feature, but it's actually quite difficult to do because you need to go and talk to Circle, or if not to Circle, you need to go to, like, if you're building in the Cosmos ecosystem, somehow figure out how to get Noble to integrate with you, like set up a relayer or integrate with Cosmos Hub. It's a lot of effort that is otherwise distracting you from actually building the core product. And given, the size of the team and everything, it just makes so much more sense to use some infrastructure provider like Initia that basically takes care of that for you. So that was a big plus. Like the bridging provider stuff that we talked about, that's another huge plus. Like all these other L2s in the Ethereum ecosystem that are launching, sure, they're like really easy to do with like one click through Conduit or Caldera, but like you don't actually get a lot of stuff with those layer 2s, and they're getting better, but I think you still don't have the flexibility that you do of having like a full Cosmos blockchain that you can go in and like modify the nodes for in a way that's like much more composable than just going in and modifying like the Ethereum nodes. So I think that was like a huge reason why we were very bullish on Initia. And like Zon and Stan talked about, they're very considerate about the user experience and developer experience as well. So from user experience perspective, they already mentioned like, you can use any type of token for gas. That's a huge thing. Like there's so many times where I've just had money stuck somewhere because, I don't have enough ETH to pay for gas. And now I need to like go and figure out how to on-ramp more ETH. And this is one of the nice things about generally the Cosmos system ecosystem as a whole, is just like the ability to use these different gas tokens. And I think it's really good that Initia is focusing on that as like a key value proposition for users. And then obviously the wallet infrastructure stuff, like as a product builders, like we don't really want to force you to use a particular wallet. It would kind of suck, honestly, if you could only use Blackwing if you had Kepler. And it's great that the Initia team is also thinking about wallet infrastructure. I think the other thing is the whole like interoperability between these different Initias or Minitias that are going to pop up is going to be pretty key for us. I see a future where, there's going to be multiple different blockchains, and I'm very bullish on these blockchains actually being Initia blockchains or Minitias. And the fact that we can interoperate with them in an easy way through the L1 makes our lives a lot easier because we obviously want people to be able to go and trade the tokens of these blockchains that pop up. So this dog meme coin chain that's going to be created by the community, it obviously should be tradable via Blackwing. And the fact that the Initia team has this like aggregated DEX layer that we can tap into for liquidity is a pretty big plus. So that's from the developers, or that's from like just like the infrastructure and sort of core value proposition side of things. I think also just like the team is amazing. We had like 2 conversations with Zon and Stan, and it was just like, okay, this is where we want to build. Sorry, that was like a really long-winded answer, but I feel like I have a lot to.
It's okay. It was
to
based.
praise you guys.
And most importantly, you get to tap into the Initia militia. Everyone's going to come use Blackwing, the best militia. Let's fucking go.
So cool.
Stan, did you want to add anything there?
I think
good, you
the
feeling?
Blackwing tier is just yeah. Blackwing X Jenny coin. I'm looking forward to the markets there.
Yeah, I think in general, just to reiterate some love, like the Blackwing team is, we all heard their backgrounds, so they're incredibly stacked, but I think just their approach of, they're trying to build something novel and new, right? Like liquidation free and leverage on any asset on any chain is like a dream for people, and that's incredible that it's coming to our ecosystem, and you're going to be able to use that to do basically all of your trading. And what's especially nice is that Blackwing is focused so much on the user experience side as well. It's like a pleasure to use their application, and when you see just how smooth the charts move, it's insane. Like it's just so addicting to come back and rip a 500x lev long, and then not get liquidated. And even just the deposit flow to start earning Blackwing XP that's live right now is so smooth and clean. And so we're really excited to see Blackwing take off.
That's a great pun. Blackwing take off.
True. All right, so moving on. So our community was a bit interested to know a little bit more about Blackwing's XP system. So Shamir, if you could talk a little bit about that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so Blackwing XP is a way for people, it's a way to engage the earliest members of the community and reward them for kind of helping us out, test out the product, and just in general be involved with Blackwing as we're gearing up for launch. So what we want to do is like make sure this points program essentially is not something that is farming users. I think that's very anti-user. So as soon as we have mainnet, the Blackwing XP program will come to an end. And your XP that you've accumulated, along with a couple other factors, will be used to determine airdrop rankings. And we've been like pretty transparent in terms of how Blackwing XP is emitted. If you go to the docs, you can actually see like the exact bonding curve that we're using. We have it defined there. So that's kind of the philosophy around Blackwing XP. It's to reward the earliest of early users. Now, in terms of how to earn Blackwing XP, the best and easiest way right now is to go and deposit assets onto Blackwing. Your assets will start accumulating XP, and the best way to do this, in my opinion, is to go and convert like your ETH or whatever into an LRT, and then deposit that LRT. So now you're kind of stacking a bunch of points. You'll be earning Eigenlayer points, you'll be earning that LRT protocol's points, you'll be earning the yield from staking, and you'll be earning Blackwing XP. So it's kind of the best way to maximize your kind of point yield / actual yield.
So you're saying by depositing these LRTs, we'll still get my LRT airdrop, my Eigenlayer airdrop, and earn Blackwing XP for the Blackwing airdrop? So 3
Yes.
airdrops in one?
Yes, sir.
And maybe, wow. Oh, yeah.
And then maybe some Initia XP we'll see. But yeah, once you have your deposits here, they're actually they're just sitting in a vault contract, so you can be rest assured there's no risk in actually doing this. And generally speaking, people are not really doing anything with their LRTs outside of just like holding onto them. So it kind of makes your LRT actually productive. Once we launch testnet, you'll be able to take your Blackwing XP and deposit it into the protocol and use that balance to go and trade. And then any balance that you have can be withdrawn back out into Blackwing XP. So that's another way that's going to be there to earn Blackwing XP. That's a little bit more fun and a lot more involved in how the product is actually used. There's a handful of other ways. It's like kind of a long list, so I won't go into it right now. But I'll post a link to the docs later that y'all can check out about how to earn Blackwing XP. Like you can invite your friends, and then you'll actually earn a certain percentage of the Blackwing XP that they are earning. But yeah, overall, I think we tried to design the system in a way that's like very user friendly. So even with the deposits, right, you can deposit your assets, but you're free to withdraw them at any time. We're not going to lock your assets up like certain other protocols. And when you withdraw, majority of the XP that you've accumulated, you actually get to keep. We do need to slash a little bit of it, and the exact specific types of XP that gets slashed is listed out in the docs, just for Sybil protection. And again, that's largely to protect users from bots and not to overinflate the supply of Blackwing XP. But it's been designed to be like very user friendly and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy earning some XP and seeing that point ticker go up on the app.
It's so addicting just watching my BXP accumulate in real time. I just sit there watching it.
Yeah, that was like a last minute ad actually. We're like, wait, why don't we have this? This makes so much sense. And then the night before we launched, we added it.
Everyone study Blackwing. Blackwing.fi.
There are many people in our community that have aped in and are testing it out. So
Awesome.
The Initia team is very bullish. Community is very bullish. Looking forward to more. So yeah, I guess moving on to the next question. A few of the folks were curious if there were any fees associated with using Blackwing, like if you guys take anything or yeah.
Yeah, so there will be fees. The fees are going to be, we haven't actually figured out the exact schedule yet. I'm still doing a little bit of analysis on what makes the most sense. Again, our goal here is to make Blackwing the best place to trade from the amount of assets that we provide, the overall experience, the prices that you're paying, and the fees that you're paying. I come from Robinhood, where their whole innovation was commission-free stock trading, and like I really want to bring that ethos to Blackwing. So we're going to try to keep the fees as low as possible. We do need to charge some amount of fees though, because we need to compensate LPs who are actually providing the liquidity on the platform. The fees are going to be set up in a way where it makes sense for the LP provider to actually take their LP position from Uniswap or whatever CLMM or AMM that they're kind of providing that, or they have that position on, and restake it onto Blackwing. It kind of needs to match up with how much fees they're earning just from like regular trading activity. Because if we offer them less than that, then they really have no incentive to come and restake their LP position on Blackwing. So that's kind of the trade-off here. We need to like figure out a way to make it make sense for the LPs, and then that's kind of going to be the lower bound, and then we'll have like an additional spread over there, and then that's what the users will pay. Majority of the fees that Blackwing collects will actually be distributed back to token holders via various forms, and I don't have can't share the exact specifics about that, but it's not going to be like all those fees are being added to a treasury. They're actually going to be collected for token holders for the community. So that's just a little bit of thinking around there.
Oh yeah, right. I love that the fees go back to users.
Yeah. So the users of Blackwing get to own a little piece of the pie as well. I think that's cool.
Yeah, similar to how the Initia team is thinking about actual utility for the init token. we're also very cautious about actually having a lot of utility for the Blackwing token. We want to make sure it's not just some like, random governance token that really has no utility outside of just like these votes, which honestly not that many people care about. And I think you're seeing this trend in general in DeFi of having governance tokens move towards actual yield bearing tokens or having actual utility. For example, like Uniswap actually turned on fee kickbacks for token holders. So we have various mechanisms planned for the Blackwing token to actually have pretty strong utility within the ecosystem and even outside of the ecosystem. So stay tuned for those details.
Looking forward to learning more. So yeah, okay, so the next question is kind of just a general question, which is that why is your project name Blackwing?
Oh, I love answering this question. So there's actually two reasons. One is the team is huge aviation fans. Zoe, for example, he used to build like RC planes and fly them in his spare time. So when we were thinking of a name, we were like, okay, you have like SR-71, which is this airplane which was created during the Cold War era. And the remarkable thing about that airplane is that the calculations for it were done all by hand because they didn't really have like strong or good computers back then. And so like literally as the metal of the airplane expands because of heat, all that calculation need to be done using pencil and paper. And they did it remarkably, and they were able to ship this airplane in like record time. That division that kind of created the airplane was part of Lockheed Martin, and it was called Skunk Works. Some of you might be familiar with Skunk Works. It used to describe like a small team of elite, elite members that can go and like get stuff done. That seems impossible, but get it done and get it done quickly. So as engineers, we're like obviously very inspired by Skunk Works. This airplane was called the SR-71 Blackbird. So that's kind of where the inspiration for the name came from. I'm a big anime fan. Specifically, I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh fan. And there's a archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh called Blackwing. And I'm like, this gives us a lot of potential for memes and a lot of potentials for like cool anon names because the Blackwing archetype has like a bunch of different characters within it. So yeah, it just kind of those two things kind of merged together, and that's where Blackwing came from.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about that. The whole Skunk Works thing as well. That's interesting.
Also, like Black Pink. I know a lot of people are talking about that. We actually like spent a lot of time in Korea. We were there for like a month and a half, and ended up becoming pretty big fans of Blackpink. So the goal for the company, really, this is really why we're doing it, is to like get a Blackwing and Blackpink collab at some point.
Oh shit.
And I think we can do it.
If anyone can do it, it's y'all, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I like to know that that's the ultimate goal. It's that's
When
really
you trade
neat.
on Blackwing, just know that is what you're working towards.
Incentive aligned. That's the real alignment.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. Yeah, moving on. So the next question for Blackwing is, does Blackwing connect Initia liquidity and other EVM chains such as ARB and ETH liquidity for leverage, or only Initia liquidity is used for leverage? I also saw Solana/Cosmos included in the roadmap.
Yeah, so we're going to launch our contracts on various different EVM chains just because if we write like a Solidity contract, we can pretty much deploy it on any of the L2s that spin up. The idea is to basically extract liquidity from those ecosystems and then bring it onto Initia, and really make Initia the hub for liquidity across those different ecosystems. There's a couple ways in which we're going to do that. So one is Primarily trading is kind of going to be facilitated with this like intent solver architecture. So the way the intent solver architecture works is essentially when a user places a trade, they're not actually initiating on-chain contracts directly. They're just submitting an intent. And then a solver comes in and then sees this intent and it's like, okay, this trader wants to, place a 10x long order for WIF. So what that solver does then is actually fulfills that intent, and for that trader, creates a WIF position on whatever native chain WIF is on. So in this case, Solana, and then kind of submits proof that that position was created back to the Initia, so Blackwing. Then once the trader closes the position, same thing happens. The solver goes and then closes the position on behalf of the trader, and then submits proof that this happened on the Blackwing chain. So all the bridging and kind of complexity of that trade is kind of abstracted away by the solver. This is great because solvers are generally speaking going to be larger entities and they can afford to batch bridging. And there's a lot of benefits due to like economies of scale there. Like a solver can be like, okay, depending on how capital inefficient they want to be, they can bridge once a day or maybe like once every hour, or depending on trading activity, obviously, but they can choose when they want to bridge. So the bridging is not happening during every trade. It's being batched. And ultimately what that results in is just like more efficiency, and those efficiencies pass on to the user. The first solver that we're going to implement is going to be, we're going to implement it. But long term, we imagine other solvers are going to come in and actually going to help facilitate this cross-chain communication. The first solver that we implement is actually going to is going to allow people to provide liquidity to it. So it's going to take in take in assets from LP providers, and then is going to deploy those assets across these various different chains in like kind of a just-in-time manner. The idea here is that the liquidity is essentially extracted away from these core ecosystems. So as an LP provider, rather than going and providing LP for like a particular pool on Solana, I can go and provide liquidity to the Blackwing solver, and the Blackwing solver will go and distribute this across multiple different ecosystems to maximize the yield for that LP. But ultimately, that liquidity will be owned by the Initia, and therefore Initia. So in that way, it's like kind of extracting liquidity from these different ecosystems. The other ultimate goal here is that we want to eventually make Blackwing become kind of a vortex for retail deposits. And the way you do that, right, is by offering the best trading experience for users. Ultimately, if you continue to provide deep value, users will continue to use your product. And we've seen this time and time again. So our goal of making Blackwing the best place to trade, the best place to find any asset with leverage, it'll basically turn Blackwing and Initia into the ecosystem where everybody goes to trade. And once you are kind of the center place where everybody comes in to trade different assets, you can basically start becoming the place where assets get listed. And eventually we want, if somebody is thinking of launching a meme coin, it's not going to be on Solana. It's going to be on an Initia or on Blackwing directly. So that is the ultimate goal. And in that sense, we kind of become the core kind of trading ecosystem across all the blockchains. Very lofty, very like long-term vision, but ultimately I think we can get there.
Wow.
Let's do it. There's a whole lot of winning to be done. And we're going to win.
Win.
Very, very exciting stuff. So yeah, this is kind of the last question that we have. And so you talked about Solana and you talked about Cosmos. So is there a next chain like that will be imminent for the Blackwing launch or integration that the community can expect next?
So we're gonna do a bunch of EVM chains first. The exact EVM chain that's gonna come first, second, third, we haven't exactly figured out yet. So that's still TBD. We have plans for Solana and we have plans for Aptos. So those are going to come up. Cosmos chains, we're talking to the guys from Say. So that's going to come up. Again, timelines, I don't want to commit to anything yet. Still a little TBD. But as soon as we have concrete stuff, you'll hear about it.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I guess there's actually one more question. So what is the maximum possible leverage for an asset on Blackwing?
It's technically infinite. The way it's calculated is it depends on the underlying LP position that's used, and depends on how that LP position is actually structured. So if I have an LP position where my upper bound is, let's say, PU and my lower bound is PL, then the maximum amount of leverage I can facilitate with that LP position is the current market price divided by the market price minus the square root of PU times PL. That's literally the exact answer. But the more like markety answer is it's technically infinite.
We love to hear infinite leverage. That's
Limitless, baby.
what we need. Absolutely. So yeah, that kind of wraps up all of the questions. I guess we can just have like a few minutes if anyone wants to like say or ask a question in the AMA chat. I know there's a lot of Blackpink, Blackwing spam going on, but just real quick, if anyone has any questions, we'll try to answer those real quick, and then we'll close it out. Yep, Jenny Blackwing, modular trading with Riz. Let's see. When Blackwing's email confirmation will be fixed?
The devs are working on that literally right now. I'm here taking a call while that is being fixed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
When
we,
mainnet? Oh, sorry.
Hopefully,
When? Yeah.
2 months after incentivized testnet. So once that drops, we'll have a pretty clear timeline. But hopefully in the middle of spring. So maybe like May, June.
Cool. And that is incentivized testnet, not just testnet. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Blackpink Lisa. Can we access Blackwing without an invite code?
you cannot, but you can use Ape Season, APESZN, to get access. That is some alpha just for this call. Actually, I think maybe we should make like an Initia specific invite code. Yo, dude, yeah,
Ape
we can do
season.
that. It's 6 characters.
Initia. Yep, it does indeed.
Yeah. I'm gonna submit
Okay,
a request
everyone.
to the devs right now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all, Initia Militia, for coming out. Really appreciate your support, and we're excited to onboard you all to the initiation incentivized testnet in just a few weeks. Give Blackwing a follow, check out their app, check out the Initia Twitter. We love you all, and catch you next time.
The initiation is coming. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Shamir. The Blackwing.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been great.
All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Take care. Love you all. Goodbye. Goodbye.
GN.